The call came through just after dawn. A local farmer, machete in hand, had been clearing overgrowth near the edge of Khao National Park when he saw it, a flash of fabric, pale against the deep green. At first, he thought it was trash, something left behind by careless tourists. But as he stepped closer, the smell hit him. Then he saw the hand, twisted, swollen. The fingers curled inward like they'd been reaching for something that was never there. Within hours, the Royal Thai Police had cordoned off the area. By noon, the body had been identified. 24-year-old Madison Clarke from Perth, Western Australia. She'd been missing for 11 days. Madison had always been the one who said yes. Yes to spontaneous road trips. Yes to last-minute flights. Yes to strangers who felt like friends after one conversation. Her mother used to joke that Madison collected people the way others collected postcards. She had that kind of energy. Warm, open, impossible to ignore. After finishing her nursing degree, she'd saved for 2 years to fund a solo backpacking trip through Southeast Asia. Thailand was supposed to be the highlight, the beaches, the temples, the jungle treks she'd seen all over Instagram. She wanted to feel small beneath something vast. She wanted to stand at the edge of waterfalls and scream into the mist. She wanted to prove to herself that the world was still kind to those brave enough to meet it halfway. Madison arrived in Phuket in early March, just as the dry season began to fade. She stayed in hostels with bunk beds that creaked and communal kitchens that smelled like burnt toast and coconut oil. She made friends easily. A German couple taught her card games. A solo traveler from Norway shared her malaria pills. A British girl named Imogen became her shadow for 3 days straight, and they got matching henna tattoos on their ankles. Madison posted photos constantly. Sunsets, street food. A elephant sanctuary where she fed bananas to a calf with soft, searching eyes. Her captions were bright, full of exclamation points. Living my best life. Can't believe this is real. Never going home. Her parents commented on every single one. Her younger brother sent her memes. Everything felt exactly the way she'd imagined. But by the 3rd week, Madison started to crave something different. She was tired of the backpacker trail, the same hostels, the same pub crawls, the same conversations about visas and budget airlines. She wanted authenticity. She wanted to go somewhere that hadn't been hashtagged 10,000 times. So when she saw a flyer pinned to a corkboard in a café in Krabi, she stopped. Private jungle tours, off the beaten path, authentic Thailand awaits. There was a phone number, a WhatsApp contact, and a name, Somchai Thanapon. She messaged him that night. He replied within minutes. His English was perfect, almost formal. He told her he ran a small, exclusive tour company that specialized in remote jungle expeditions. No crowds, no tourist traps, just raw nature and cultural immersion. He sent photos, mist rising from limestone cliffs, hidden waterfalls, monks walking single file through the trees. Madison scrolled through them, her chest tightening with excitement. This was it. This was what she'd been looking for. When she asked about price, Somchai quoted her something reasonable. Not cheap, but not exploitative. He even offered to pick her up from her hostel. I want my guests to feel safe, he wrote, especially solo travelers. She didn't know that Somchai Thanapon was a man who wore many faces. On paper, he was a success story, 42 years old, owner of a luxury villa in Phuket, a portfolio of rental properties across the southern coast. He drove a white Land Rover with tinted windows. He wore expensive watches and linen shirts that never seemed to wrinkle. People in town knew him as generous. He donated to local schools, sponsored temple renovations. But there were whispers too. Whispers about his first wife, who disappeared in 2011 and was later found drowned in a hotel pool in Pattaya, ruled an accident. Whispers about the young women who worked for him, housekeepers, tour assistants who never seemed to stay long. Whispers about a temper that surfaced when he drank. But whispers don't show up on Google reviews. And Madison Clarke had no reason to dig deeper. Somchai picked her up on a Tuesday morning. He arrived exactly on time, stepping out of the Land Rover with a wide smile and a cold bottle of water for her. He was handsome in a polished way, salt and pepper hair, a neatly trimmed beard, aviator sunglasses that reflected the sky. Madison climbed into the passenger seat, her backpack wedged behind her. He asked about her trip so far. She told him about the hostels, the beaches, the elephant sanctuary. He listened with a kind of attention that felt rare. He laughed at her stories. He asked follow-up questions. He didn't check his phone once. By the time they left the main highway and turned onto a narrow dirt road, Madison felt completely at ease. They drove for over an hour, deeper into the jungle. The road became rougher. The trees pressed closer. Somchai talked the whole time. He told her about his childhood in Bangkok, his years working in hospitality, how he'd saved every baht to build his business. He talked about his love for the jungle, how it humbled him, how it reminded him that humans were just visitors in a world far older than they could comprehend. Madison found herself nodding along. There was something hypnotic about his voice, calm, steady, like he was narrating a documentary about his own life. When she asked if they were close to the trailhead, he smiled. "Almost," he said. "Just a little further." They parked at the edge of a clearing. No other cars. No signs. Just thick, humid silence. Somchai unloaded a small backpack from the trunk water bottles, a first aid kit, a machete and a canvas sheath. Madison hesitated for just a moment, but then he turned and smiled at her again, that same easy warmth, and the hesitation dissolved. They started walking. The trail was narrow, barely visible beneath the overgrowth. Vines hung low. The air was thick and wet, pressing against her skin. Somchai walked ahead, using the machete to clear branches. Madison followed, her sneakers slipping on the damp earth. She tried to take photos, but the light was strange here, filtered and green, like being underwater. An hour in, they stopped at a stream. Somchai knelt and filled his water bottle, then offered it to her. She drank. The water was cold and tasted faintly of minerals. He asked if she was tired. She wasn't. She felt alive. He smiled. "Good," he said. "Most tourists can't handle this, but you're strong." The compliment made her feel proud. She didn't notice the way his eyes lingered on her. She didn't notice how far they'd come, or that the trail had vanished entirely. They walked for another hour, maybe two. Madison lost track of time. The jungle had no markers, no sense of direction, just green in every direction. She started to feel uneasy. She asked Somchai where the waterfall was. He said it was just ahead, but the words felt rehearsed. When she asked if they should turn back, he stopped walking. He turned to face her. His expression hadn't changed, but something in his posture had. Something tight, something coiled. "You don't trust me?" he asked. His voice was still calm, but there was an edge now. Madison forced a laugh. "No, I'm getting tired, that's all." He stared at her for a moment longer, then nodded. "Okay," he said. "We'll rest soon." They walked for another 20 minutes. Then Somchai stopped again. This time, he set down his backpack. He told Madison to sit. She did, lowering herself onto a fallen log. Her legs were shaking. He handed her a bottle of water. She drank without thinking. He watched her. She felt the unease bloom into something sharper. She asked again about the waterfall. He didn't answer. Instead, he crouched down in front of her. "You remind me of someone," he said softly. "My wife. She had your energy. Always smiling, always trusting." Madison's throat tightened. She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. The world tilted. She blinked hard, trying to clear her vision, but everything was blurring at the edges. She looked at the water bottle in her hand. Then she looked at Somchai. His face was calm, almost sad. "I'm sorry," he said, "but you shouldn't have come here alone." Madison tried to scream, but her voice came out as a whisper. Her body wasn't responding. She fell sideways off the log, her hands sinking into the damp earth. Somchai stood and watched. He didn't move to help her. He didn't say anything else. He just waited. When she finally stopped moving, he checked her pulse. Then he dragged her deeper into the jungle, where the trees grew so thick that sunlight barely reached the ground. Back in Perth, Madison's mother called her for 3 days straight. The calls went unanswered. She messaged Madison's travel friends, her hostel, even the Australian embassy in Bangkok. No one had seen her. On the 5th day, a friend from the hostel mentioned that Madison had been talking about a private jungle tour. She'd shown them a flyer. They couldn't remember the name, but they remembered Madison saying the guide seemed really nice. The police were notified. The tour company didn't exist, not officially. The phone number Madison had contacted was tied to a burner SIM card, but investigators found the WhatsApp messages. They found the photos Somchai had sent, and when they ran facial recognition on those photos, they found him, Somchai Thanapon, millionaire, philanthropist, widower. The police raided his villa in Phuket. They found Madison's backpack in a storage shed behind the main house. Her passport was inside. Her phone had been wiped, but the SIM card was still intact. When questioned, Somchai was calm. He admitted to taking Madison into the jungle. He claimed it was a legitimate tour. He said she'd felt unwell and insisted on walking back alone. He said he'd tried to stop her, but she'd been stubborn. He said he had no idea what happened after that. But the forensic team found something else. Traces of rohypnol in a water bottle recovered from his Land Rover, scratches on his forearms. And when they exhumed the body of his first wife from 2011, They found evidence that her drowning hadn't been an accident at all. She'd been held underwater. The bruises on her shoulders had been dismissed at the time, but now, with Madison's case, they couldn't be ignored. Somchai Thanapon was charged with murder. The trial became international news. Madison's family flew to Thailand and sat in the courtroom every single day. Her mother never looked at him. She stared straight ahead, her hands folded in her lap, her face carved from stone. The defense tried to paint Madison as reckless, an inexperienced traveler who put herself in danger. But the evidence was overwhelming. The drugged water, the deleted messages, the pattern of behavior spanning over a decade. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty Madison Clarke had come to Thailand looking for beauty. She found it, briefly, in the faces of strangers, in the glow of temple lanterns, and the way the jungle seemed to breathe. But she also found something else. A man who understood that trust was the easiest door to open, and that once someone walked through it, they rarely saw the lock click shut behind them. Her body was cremated in Bangkok, and her ashes were flown home to Perth. Her family held a memorial on the beach where she used to surf as a teenager. Over 200 people came. They released paper lanterns into the sky, and the wind carried them out over the water, glowing like stars that had fallen upward. Her mother stood at the edge of the surf, her feet buried in wet sand, and she whispered the same thing she'd been whispering for weeks. "You were supposed to come home." Somchai Thanapon is serving life in Bangkwang Central Prison. He has never admitted guilt. He has never apologized. In interviews, he speaks calmly, as if discussing someone else's crime. He says he was simply misunderstood. He says Madison made her own choices. He says the world is full of dangers, and some people are too naive to see them. He says he prays for her family. But when the guards walk past his cell at night, they say he never prays. He just sits in the dark, staring at the wall, as still as stone. Madison's Instagram account is still active. Her last post is a photo of the sunset from Krabi, the sky streaked pink and gold. The caption reads, "Chasing Magic." Thousands of people have commented since her death. Most say they're sorry. Some say they wish they'd warned her. Some say they've traveled alone too, and they were lucky, and they'll never take that luck for granted again. But the comments that her mother reads over and over are the ones that simply say, "You deserve to come home." The truth is, Madison Clarke did everything right. She researched, she asked questions. She trusted her instincts until her instincts told her to trust a man with kind eyes and a steady voice. And that's the cruelest part of all, because the world tells young women to be brave, to explore, to say yes to adventure. But it doesn't tell them that some predators don't look like monsters. They look like guides. They look like safety. They offer water when you're thirsty. They smile when you're scared. They make you feel special, right up until the moment you realize you were never special at all. You were just alone. And in the jungle, when the trees close in and the sky disappears and your voice can't carry past the vines, alone is the most dangerous thing you can be. Madison Clarke learned that too late. But maybe, just maybe, her story can be the warning that saves the next girl who sees a flyer pinned to a corkboard and thinks, this could be the adventure of a lifetime. Because sometimes, the greatest adventure is knowing when to say no. And sometimes, survival means trusting the voice that whispers, something isn't right. Even when everything looks perfect, even when the guide smiles, even when the water is cold and clear and offered with open hands. Madison Clarke was 24 years old. She loved sunsets and nursing and the way the ocean sounded at night. She believed the world was kind. And she was right, mostly. But kindness and cruelty often wear the same face. And by the time you realize which one you're looking at, it's already too late to run.